So I want you all to put on your big imaginative brains for me right now. And we're gonna envision and we're gonna imagine something, okay? Now imagine, for those of you who are older, that you could go back, okay, to the age of 19 years old. So imagine that you're 19 years old, but imagine that you've hit the proverbial human lottery, right? What do I mean by that? Well, imagine that you have been born into a life of wealth and privilege, okay? You have hit the lottery, the human lottery. Your parents are well off. You have nothing to worry about financially. That's hitting the human lotto, right? Of birth. And you're 19 years old. You have your entire life ahead of you. And again, all the money that you could ever ask for or wish for. And so then one day, your father, your pops, comes into the room. You're minding your own business, right? And your pops comes into the room and he says, hey, I want you to go on an excursion with me. I want you to go on a particular voyage with me. And, you know, initially you're probably like, okay, well, what is it? And then your pops proceeds to tell you that he wants you to go to the bottom of the ocean floor with him. For what? To see the Titanic that sunk. You're terrified, as any 19-year-old would be, to find out that your father wants you to go with him to the bottom, to the very deepest part of the ocean floor, right? To the depths of, listen, the ocean. There are a few things, okay, in this world that I will not trifle with, that I absolutely will not fuck with. I don't want no parts of space. I love to look at it from here. I love to look at all the stars and imagine all the planets and what they would be like. I love Interstellar. But if you ask me if I wanted to get on a ship and go to outer space, the answer is no. And the other one is the ocean. Because there are things in the ocean that are even more terrifying than anything that I believe we could ever encounter in space. We don't know what's down there. It's too vast, it's too big, and it's too deep. So imagine now that your father wants you to go on this voyage with him to the bottom of the ocean. You don't know what's down there, but you're terrified, as you should be, because you have common sense. And so you don't want to disappoint dear old dad, right? You don't want to turn him down. Sure, you have your idea of that you don't really want to go, But on the other hand, you don't want to disappoint dad. You want to kind of prove something to him, right? You want to kind of tuck your fears away and be brave in the moment. So you agree. You agree to go with your father on this voyage. And then on this trip, the absolute worst happens. All of your fears, everything that you imagined could go wrong, goes wrong. Now, how do we know that this is how the 19-year-old that went on this trip with his rich father felt? Because it's right here in the article. Let's read it together. Teen son of Pakistani billionaire who died on Titanic sub didn't want to go on trip, his aunt says. The son of a Pakistani businessman who is now presumed dead along with his father after their Titanic tour submersible imploded was terrified of the daring expedition, his aunt has revealed. Let me stop right there before I go on. That word right there, imploded. Imploded is an interesting word to use. Let's look it up. Because I want you all to see. I want to get a clear definition of what imploded means so you all can visualize the sheer terror and horror that these people likely faced. Okay. Collapse or cause to collapse violently inwards. Let me read that again. Collapse or cause to collapse violently inwards. End or fail suddenly or dramatically. That right there, imploded, it's a peculiar word to use for how they believe that they found the Titanic submersible little vessel that went down there. Okay. So let's go back to the article because there's more here. Okay. I'm gonna skip that part. Okay. Let's read this part. We know the victims, right? The victims have been identified by family members as Ocean Gate Expeditions founder and CEO Stockton Rush, British billionaire Hamish Harding, renowned French diver Paul Henry Nargiolet, and Pakistani billionaire Shahzada Dawood and his 19-year-old son Sulman. Okay? In an interview published before the tragic developments were announced, Dawood's sister, Asmay Dawood, told NBC News that her nephew was absolutely scared. He was terrified and only agreed to go on the expedition because it was important to his Titanic-obsessed father. Sulman reportedly told family members he was concerned about the tour and wasn't very up for it. She says, I feel like I've been caught in a really bad film with a countdown, but you didn't know what you were counting down to. I personally have found it kind of difficult to breathe thinking of them. Ms. Dawood went on to say that she wouldn't have gotten into the Titan for $1 million, also noting that she was absolutely heartbroken before the U.S. Coast Guard announced roves found debris linked to the Titan. So now, the life that you thought you had ahead of you comes to an abrupt and dramatic end because your father wanted to drag you along on this trip that was so important to him. And of course, again, all sons want to impress their dads. They want to impress both parents, but sons really want to sons that have active fathers in their lives, they really want to impress their dads, right? And so this 19-year-old kid put all of his fears to the side and went on this trip with his father just to impress him. And when you get a look at what it was actually like inside of, I got another video here. I got a video on a while that I'm going to put on the screen right now. Here, let's watch it together.
We're inside the submarine right now. Got the owner right back there, Stockton. Have you ever had any water leaking in the front?
So this video is from a YouTuber, I believe, that details a small little video capture of his exclusive Titanic submarine voyage. Okay, so 3 weeks before This incident, this YouTuber went on this trip, and I believe this video has gone viral now, right? But in this video, it gives you a detailed look on the inside of this submersible and how it looks. And it is absolutely, listen, you want to talk about a sardine can? I don't consider myself to be claustrophobic, but there is no way in hell I'm getting inside of this thing. Let's take a look.
Put a vacuum on.
Yeah.
First of all, you got to sit down Indian style with your legs crossed. Look how small that is.
We're in here.
Look how small that is. It's a metal coffin.
All right, we're inside and sealed in the submarine. I'm excited. First time in a submarine. It looks really cool in here too. Keep in mind what you're looking at right now is the exact same submersible that imploded and killed 5 people. And also any footage you see of Stockton, of course, you know, he's passed away by now.
So Stockton was on this trip as well.
Yeah, we're doing it.
He went on this trip as well and had no idea that just 3 weeks from this point that he would lose his life in another trip down to the ocean floor.
So we're officially underwater in a submarine right now. 33 feet, I believe, right? 10 meters. Yeah.
33 feet.
Are you ready for unlock, or are we unlocked? Is he saying we are unlocked, or are we ready for unlock?
Yes, hey, give him an okay. Give him an in the dome.
So what does that mean?
Looks like
He's going to go pull the mechanical lock, and we're going to see how the pneumatic lock is doing. And there's a chance we'll pop off.
Still no pings from the top.
Again, that's Stockton Rush, I believe, right there. Look at that. Timeout. He asked him, what are you using to control the submarine? And this guy proceeds to hold up a goddamn Xbox controller. Can you believe it? That right there would have been enough for me. Would have been enough for me right there to be like, oh, hell no. Are you kidding me? A Logitech controller? That's what we're using. That is what we're putting our lives in jeopardy for. Mind you, each seat on this little metal coffin costs each of them $250,000. So you essentially, the billionaire, paid $500,000 to go and lose him and his son's life. That's what we're talking about here. $250 a seat is what they charge for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
That means they're probably going to bring us up
Soon. Yeah, you know, because we've had no comms for
for a while.
This is a pretty.
This is the vertical. He's getting aggressive on us. You guys are bubbles. Bet you come out.
Yeah, look at that.
That was a good blow. Not bad, huh?
Where should come the roll? I think we want to go.
It's cool when we break the surface.
Yeah.
Okay, go. I think we go left. Lean a little left. Keep going left.
This video isn't very long,
Balancing.
so I'm running out the rest of it. We got about a minute left, and I think the rest of it play
The
out.
game plan for this particular dive, we never left a platform. If the fog didn't roll in and cancel the dive, who knows, maybe we would have left that platform and maybe we would have imploded. But I can tell you right now, I feel like I dodged a bullet, but I also feel very bad for the families who lost loved ones. Like I said before, I didn't know these people too well, but they treated me very nicely and I lost a few friends as well. If you're chasing big dreams and pushing your limits, obviously dangerous things can happen and, you know, can be fatal. In this case scenario, 5 people lost their life in this exact same submersible that I was going to go down in the Titanic in. I think this is a big reminder, not only to myself, but everyone, that life is very precious and it can go away very quickly. Like I said, if the weather permitted and it was beautiful out and Stockton asked me if I wanted a spot in that submarine, I would have said yes, and it could have been me. So I'm very thankful that I'm here today. But at the end of the day, I just want to say I had an unbelievable experience for Mission 3. I met some incredible people. I'm taking home memories that I would hold dear to my heart for the rest of my life. These people were very nice to me and I'm very grateful. I wish I could go back in time and just, you know, like tell them not to do it, but you know, this is real life.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up another picture here. So you heard that young gentleman say that the only reason that they did not complete the dive was because the weather did not permit it. So he practically saved his own life, or not saved his own life, but his life was probably spared, because who knows what happened had they completed the dive when he went 3 weeks prior. Okay. And this picture that I have pulled up on the screen right now, this is from USA Today. This is a picture showing you the depth at which they were. Okay. So this is sea level, right? This ship here, and then you drop all the way down 4,000 feet is where sperm whale, that's the maximum depth, right? So that means whales don't typically go below 4,000 feet. We use these terms and we use these numbers and we just blur them out, right? But when you actually imagine 4,000 feet below sea level, it is absolutely mind-blowing, mind-boggling. And then they were going to go down 12,000 feet, where the wreck of the Titanic is right here. And here it would be the little submersible that they went down in. So you think about all the pressure that would be inside, building up inside of that cabin. This was absolutely terrifying. Let's pull up something else. That's an article there about how the billionaire and his wife had a scare in a plane, and how she talked about in the article about how she almost lost her life then, and how she was so scared and her husband was scared, right? And then you go, after escaping death that time, you go and you take your 19-year-old son to the bottom of the ocean? Holy. We all know now what happened. Went down 12,500 feet into the ocean. They went to see the Titanic wreckage up close, and it disappeared. We now know that they have found debris. This was one of the gentlemen that went. This is Hamish Harding. Okay. And he was, all of these guys that went down here were very rich. Okay. All millionaires. I mean, you would have to be able to afford a $250 seat inside of a metal casket, a metal coffin. And Ocean Gate came out and said, look, the sub belongs to us. And their team did not return from the mission. We all know. Again, you see it right here. They're a private company that offers tours of the Titanic, and tickets for this go as high as $250,000. Listen, this is nuts. There's no way in hell you could have paid me to go on this trip. I can't imagine what it was like in the last final moments of these people's lives inside of this little metal coffin. Debris found near Titanic confirmed as wreckage of missing submarine. All aboard feared lost. And catastrophic implosion. Remember, I just detailed what an implosion is, and it's absolutely something that I never want to ever experience. Ever. Oh, here we go. Here's the scale that I was looking. Here's another scale for you right here. Depth of feet. Okay. So you have at 305 feet below sea level, right? You have Lady Liberty. And then at 984 feet below sea level is the equivalent of the Eiffel Tower being submerged into the ocean. But they were all the way down somewhere around here. Absolutely insane. Billionaire, millionaires. Your life is set, right? I'm starting to believe that really when you have as much money and money is no longer a worry for you, I am starting to believe that you do get bored, because what in the seven hells would make you want to jump inside of a metal coffin that was pieced together in a very MacGyver-like fashion with some tape and glue and a bunch of shit they got from Home Depot with a Logitech Microsoft controller and go to the bottom of the ocean? You got me. You got me.
Buckle down for the ride. Run that by me one more time before we slide. Life is long, death is short. No suicides. Free your mind, pray to God. Between you and I. Buckle down for the ride. Run that by me one more time before we slide.